Okay, I want to do a little briefing here on this part. You have an equation 1/6 times d to the third power times pi equals v. Now over here there's a parenthesis that says v equals 9,000. What does d equal? So we're obviously going to put 9,000 in for d, okay? So equals 9,000. Now we have 1/6, okay, 1/6. And then d to the third, okay, we're just going to put, we don't know what d is, that's what we're figuring out, so we keep that as d to the third. And then pi, we're going to put 3.14. Now what I want to do first, this is all multiplication. Now multiplication's commutative. It can be multiplied in any order you want. So it would make sense to put the 1/6 times the 3.14 first times the variable with its third power last. Okay. So I go on a calculator, I take 1/6 times 3.14. Now I'm going to put 0.52. Okay. So 0.52 times d to the third power equals 9,000. Now I can solve for d pretty easily, okay? So I look at the d to the third power, we have a times operation, so before I worry about the third power, I need to divide by 0.52, because it's times, I divide. Then I will apply a cubed root to get rid of the third power. So divide both sides by 0.52. d to the third, so 9,000 divided by 0.52, okay, 17,307.69. Now, to get rid of your third power, you apply a cubed root to both sides, okay? So you go 3, second caret, 17,307.69, okay? 25.87 is your solution for D. Okay, my next expression, my next equation, we have pi times d to the second times v divided by 4 equals q. Now it says q equals 30. V equals 400, so we'll put 400 in for V. I got to find then what the D variable would equal in that instance. So this whole side's divided by 4. Now, you want to write this so the D to the second, the variable you're solving for, comes last, because it's all multiplication with 3 factors. So you put the 2 known factors, pi is 3.14 times 400. You just rewrite that, okay? Then you'll see, okay, I should probably take 3.14 times 400 first, okay? Okay, 1,256. So now what do I have? Well, I have 1,256 times d to the second divided by 4 equals 300. Now, before I divide, I'm going to want to get rid of this divide by 4. The whole side of the equation is divided by 4, so I'm going to times 4 first. Then I'm going to divide by the 1,256 is times by the variable, so I would then divide by 1,256 because the opposite of times is divide. And the opposite of a second power is a square root. Okay, so that's going to be the 3 things I do. So times 4, times 4. 300 times 4 is going to be 1,200. And then we got 1,256 times d to the second. Okay, then you're going to divide by your 1,256. Okay, and 1,200 divided by 1,256 is going to be 0.96. Then we apply a square root, okay? Now it's 2 second caret 0.96 is going to be 0.98. Now this would have a positive and a negative. That one didn't because it was a cubed root. Odd roots just have the one answer, but even roots have positive or negative. Okay, then I want to take a look at another one. Now it says v equals the square root of 64 times d. Okay. Now you're like, how am I supposed to find what d equals if I don't have a number for v? Well, you're not going to. Just pretend that there's a number, that v. You just need to get the d by itself. So you look at your radical. Remember, we highlight the radical. There are no operations outside the radical. Okay? None. So I get rid of my radical. It's a square root, so we raise both sides to the second power. So we now have v to the second power. We don't know what v is. That's okay. And then we have 64 times d. Well, if I need to find what d equals, it's a times 64, so I would divide both sides by 64 to cancel out the multiplication. And then 64. So I have d by itself. So v to the second equal divide by 64. So that's how it's done if you don't have a value in for one of the variables.